Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Cindy and I have my Ruby Vision Empowerment, and these are going to be a series of videos for us to explore different ideas through the lens of the non-traditional sorts of ways, bringing in some tradition, bringing in some storytelling, and a safe platform that we can either agree or disagree on certain things and still be good humans. So today's topic I have labeled Ruby Roots, and this is going to be a combination of our DNA roots and our spiritual roots. So let's start with a little story here. So the moral of the story, or the story of the moral, is to keep your eye on what you want and not what you don't want. So one time when I was a little girl and I was riding my bike, not very well obviously, and myself and my friends were off somewhere and we were driving through the neighborhood, and I had spotted this beautiful tree, and on the property was the man and the lady who owned this tree, and it was a snowball tree, and it was full of those big puffy flowers, fully in bloom and beautiful. And I was looking at it and looking at it, and then as I started looking at it, I started steering towards it, and then I was fixated on this thing, and my pedals were going and my arms were just heading straight towards on my steering wheel, and I ran into their snowball tree, and leaves flew and petals flew, and the look of dismay on the man and the woman. They couldn't believe why on earth that I would have the whole road in front of me and I still managed to run into their perfectly beautiful tree. So in that case, that was a beautiful tree, and the story didn't end badly, really. They didn't yell at me. But the whole visual of this is when you're driving and when you're learning how to drive a car on the road, and you don't stare at what you don't want to actually go to. So if you're noticing, the traffic going by, you don't stare at the traffic. You stay in your own lane and you focus on what you need to do so that you can accomplish and go where you want to go. And this is a story shows true. And the other idea of, if we're staring at certain circumstances in our daily lives, and we all know what's happening in this human experience, where we have all of these scenarios going on, and we're not always so blessed to be sitting at our home here on a beautiful sunny afternoon and, enjoying the beautiful times of life and spending time making a video when there's real things going on in the world that are not so nice, and they're pretty dire for some people. So when I use the word real things are going on in the world, I want you to also know that in my real world, I'm able to sit here on a beautiful sunny afternoon, enjoying my beautiful fresh water, and sitting here in my calm, serene house with the quietness of the birds outside my window. That is real for me. So by fixating on what you are looking at, and you are driving your vehicle towards where you're going, and in this case, the vehicle being us, being our body, being our temple, we want to make sure that we're steering our body and our self in the right direction to a way of living. I know this is going to be, I know, I can hear it and I can feel it on the other side of the screen. It's not always like that. You're not always in the same boat. No, but we all have the same mind, not same mind, but we all have the body with a mind and a heart in it. And then I'll explore what that happens for us. So if we're looking at connecting to our roots, and we're looking at connecting to our, our DNA, we all have the opportunity where we're coming from parents. We have the opportunity where we're coming from our father and our mother, and with that, they bring within us their DNA in some kind of combination that is somehow stirred up into a big pot, of cells that land in our mother's womb, into this darkness of unseen events, and not only to like some modern science that we know what's happening inside that womb, but in that womb of creation, we're bringing forward the DNA of our mother and our father, and their mother and father, and their mother and father, and their mother and father before them, and then all the way to like the first parents that we have on this planet, where we have named them Adam and Eve. So having that, we have the same roots. So let's explore how that looks for us. So then we're looking at our DNA, and that it joins with our womb, and some of the first cells that are developed in that are the cells of the heart. And I have come to believe that it actually is the heart that is the first organ that is to be developed inside the womb. And with that, it brings the beautiful spark of the creation, much like or the same as the Big Bang and how our Earth came into existence in the cosmos, the Big Bang. So some kind of energy that is so compelled to explode or implode and to create and to go forward and in motion, a creation. So the organism that we call ourselves, the human organism, has the experience of the heart beating, and then it has the second experience of the brain. And in the brain is the mind, and I would call the brain the receptor. So then the whole idea is to have the combination in the experience that I've had recently is to combine the head and the heart together. So what I'm looking at is when we're seeing the prayer, we're having the hands folded and the right and the left together to balance. And I have a beautiful meditation that I'm going to send out is how to balance the hemispheres of the brain, because we have a split in the brain. We can see that there actually is a division, and how that came about, if that was always the way, if that's always the will be, or if at some point we're going to have some kind of reunion without the divides. We know fully and foremost that there's always divide, there's always polarities, right, wrong, dark, light, all of the dramas and stuff that are flowing out in front of us, and they're not always healthy and good. So if we were to join the hemispheres of the brain and join what I feel is there is a separation in the heart as well, we can join those together. And then if we bow our heads and we point to this section of our heart, we are joining head to heart. And we have many, many, many renowned speakers that talk about join your mind with your heart, the head and the heart. Let the heart lead, let the brain be the receptor of what feelings we have. And we're talking about our intuition and our logic, a balance between intuition and logic. So I love to have a lot of the intuition in this, and I feel like that is a great aid to practice, because that's a little bit more of a subtle thing. The logic we acquire from our parents, so then, and through schooling and what have you, through education. So then we have this whole union that happens together, and how when they're connected together, they can work very well together and not in separation. So the heart will teach us that, we're not always learning the real lesson in things, that there's always an underlying tone of things. So if our genes came from Adam and Eve, and that whole thing, if we were to use the imagery of like a GPS tracker, and you could see my DNA coming from my parents and their parents and their parents, and how this is woven all the way back and forth, and how the experiences have them. It's not always just a tangled ball of yarn that has knots in it. Sometimes it's a tangled roll of barbed wire that has knots in it. And as a Christian, as a Catholic, we always go to Mother Mary. She's the undoer of knots, and she always helps that. And we know that she's great support with the story of Jesus. So even if our lineage has granted us with the beautiful gifts of a knotted ball of yarn, or if it's a knotted ball of barbed wire, we can still get ourselves out of it, all from how we focus on things. And luckily I hit that snowball tree, and it was light and fluffy, and I didn't get a twig in the eye. I was embarrassed, but that was about it. So leading to us now, we have that we are still expanding, and there's always still things in motion. What I hope is that we can change, we can grow, and we can share our new experiences with where we direct our vessel. So let's explore what that can look like. So if we were to look at, the time that Adam and Eve were brought here, and how they had an existence where they had the fall, and how they were tempted, and how they came to our planet, and with all the ways that they had children, and they had children, and they had children, and they had children. And then we can expand on the part that we have had the information that Jesus is the last child of Adam and Eve. So when he came here, he wasn't really happy with some of the some of the systems that were in play, and that would be like the money gathering and the sacrifice and all that kinds of things, and some of the unholiness. And what do we talk about unholiness? We're talking about how the human organism gets into drama, and rather than, you know, gets back into the heart where everything is pure and right and available for us. So if we were to spend more time with our higher self and our Holy Spirit from what came within our soul, and the gateway to that is through our heart. Let's use emotions as an example. We have to have healthy emotions, and so we can have some healing with that. So if we were to go back to the head and the heart, our mind wants to tell us certain things, and our heart actually knows a little bit better about that. So we're thinking that we have options as far as where we steer our vessel. And even like the evolution of the brain itself, when it started out with that smaller portion, science has helped us with this, the smaller portion back there, and they have a name for it, but that's also called the reptilian brain. And in that area are all of our basic human survival needs. So then if we were to have a near death, you know, then that section would steal all of the nutrients and all of the energy that's going to anything like digesting our food or figuring out, you know, our next puzzle or crossword puzzle. And it would say, you know, get the heck out of here, run for your life, or, you know, just, you know, using all of that to the brain where everything slows down and you can see things in slow motion. I have learned lately that the bugs have that, where they can really, and bees, bugs, they can really receive a lot of information in a very short period of time. They see things with less pixels, and the information goes through their brain very quickly, and they can make decisions, and they can gather information really quickly. I feel this is also what happens to people who have those accidents where they have near-death experiences where everything slows down and they can make decisions. And I believe that a lot of the noise is out of the way, and they can see just, you know, what's in view, kind of like that whole perception of what bugs see. So I think it's interesting that there's always a connection between the organism of the insects and the organism of the human. So if we were to say that Jesus came to help us with the changing of a new way, and there were people that practiced his way even after he was gone, in this, there's two stories going on. There was the whole story of the people doing the same thing, you know, the people in the money exchangers and the people that were doing sacrifices and, you know, conquering, and all of that was going on. And we know that for a fact that there isn't any organisms in any social circumstance that hasn't participated in those darknesses. There's in my opinion, all of us have participated in those kinds of things. So we can't point fingers. So when someone comes along and there's, you know, we're going to show you that we're better and our way of living is better than yours, then we can see how that causes a problem, because we lose our roots, we lose our all of our good parts of our societies, and we've thrown them out, you know, the baby with the bathwater. So let's bring back some of those things, with the exception of the killing and, you know, all of those conquering things. So if we were to say that we were doing that now, then we can steer our vehicle in a way that we can see through the narrative of the news. There's lots of news articles coming out that, you know, some of the things that we were told in the last couple of years, that we also willingly went forward and did our duty and did our due diligence and did what we have to do because somebody said that that was the right thing to do. You know, our emotions and our logic, and like, you know, our intuition and our logic were separated. Our logic was saying one thing, our emotions were saying another thing, and having our emotions being played upon by a certain, I guess, your duty. We have, you know, we have some side stories. We have people that actually need to make a living, and they were having to go forward with some of these things, and we have some of the generations of our society who felt like they were doing their duty to save those of their, after, and I'm talking about our elderly. I feel like they were manipulated into a way where then they were, first of all, wanting to save themselves and also trying to not be a carrier. So when those kinds of things are split, that is a psychological warfare. There are examples of how they would use these tactics in a certain war where they were trying to get information from an informant or a captured person, and that they would use these, give them hope, take it away, give them hope, take it away. And that all of a sudden the person is so split that it's hard to know what the actual, feeling of what I really want for myself and what I'm told to do. So if we were to do this and we were to see in our modern day how there was a split in people that were living this way, and all along there's people who are living this way. So there wasn't just one set of people doing the same thing. So going back to the time of Adam and Eve and fall, and how there were other people that were living a righteous life and doing, all of these good things, and then they had to disappear because they were won over or bowled over. So let's think about that now. Let's steer our vessel into something when we're looking at the news and we're seeing about, certain wars coming, certain technologies that are going to wipe us out. Let's not steer our bike into that tree. We are going to get our eyes poked out if we steer our vessel in that way. So let's look for the other way. Let's look for the beauty in nature. Let's get outside and get those light photons and help our, the organism, like of a plant. They collect photons, they change it into, the chlorophyll, and that's their sustenance. So with us and our blood and our heart, let's not just make it like a red sludge. Let's add light to it. Let's add the plasma that's in the blood. Let's mix it up together. Let's bring those photons into us, and let's let our eyes shine light, and let's share that with people, and let's show them hope. If they're not able to receive these types of messages, or the studying, or the reading the good news, then let's give them a little bit of hope. Let's be an example of people on this planet who can just hold the light for others until they catch up, because there's going to be a certain time when we are going to find out some other things that we're duped, and there really is some truth to a statement. It kind of goes like this, and I see it for myself and those people not around me, but at people in my further away sphere, that says I'd rather be duped myself than to know that I was lied to. So what am I trying to say there? They would rather deny the truth, even if their heart tells them there is a truth, than to admit to themselves that they were duped. So let's give those people a chance to pivot, and let's give those people a chance to say it's okay if you were lied to and duped. It's okay. We all go through it one way or another, upside down and backwards. And when it's your turn to, want to reinvent yourself, let them reinvent themselves. Let them keep all of the good things that they had, and then wash away all the other. I know I've done that. So it doesn't mean that I'm finished growing and reinventing myself, but keep the good parts about ourselves and steer our vessel towards even better, and be the good news carriers. And in the meantime, just shine brightly and help people in any way that we can. And if it's giving away your grocery bag to a person in the lineup, do it. Do whatever you can to help somebody else. So I want to help with the path of correcting the mistakes. If there was mistakes with Adam and Eve, and there was many mistakes after that, let us be a part of the healing and joining our head and our heart together, so that we can create less of a divide, and being a wholesome light, and using our soul purpose that's come here, and playing that out. Let's see what our soul wanted us to bring forward. There's lots of secrets that are hidden in that, and there's lots of time that we can still play that through. So let us do that. Let us be that person who brings our soul purpose. Being whole and being holy is a little bit of a word, but being whole. So let's join our organic self with our spiritual self, our physical self with our spiritual self. So if we've divided ourselves from God, we can be the prodigal son and come back. We all know how that human story shows out, how the father is more than happy to receive the child. So part of what I believe is the benefit of Adam and Eve leaving the nest and separating themselves from God is that in the process, all of us that are afterwards, we have the opportunity to ascend. We have the opportunity to see heaven on earth. We have the opportunity to see the ascended Eden coming. And by playing that out and by returning ourselves to God and to all of that is beautiful and well, that it's better than the prodigal son, because, or it's in some ways better than if Adam and Eve never departed, because we'd never know how good it is to return to our heaven self if we've never been separated from it. So there's always good in knowing that, and there's always that time when we use the example of, when the children grow up and they're just butting heads with every parent. There's never way. So when the parent goes away or when the children go away from the parents and the parents are talking, we're like, when did your child come back? When did they start to see you for a good human again? And then when the child appreciates the adult for the adult, is because now the child is becoming an adult and they can see the qualities in their parent. And when we return to the state of grace that God is offering us, there's such celebration in that we've done it because we want to, not because we never had a choice, but because we want to return to the state of grace. We want to utilize the blessings and we want to share them with others. So on that note, thank you so much for joining me. Let's make our return to our roots and let's make them even better. Let's join our human self with our spirit self, and we can have a lot of fun with this. So please never knock somebody who has a different reality than yours. The path is the path, and if they want help, be willing to say yes when someone says, I need help. Can you be there? Reestablish that they're learning too, and that we are not perfect, and that be ready to help them when they are ready to make a new choice. So steer your vessel towards the light, go outside and get some sunshine, get some vitamin D, and share the love. So thank you so much. If there's anything in the video that you like or appreciate, or even just find funny, please like, subscribe, share. Join me on my YouTube channel, and it's Cindy Nolay, and you'll find this video under Ruby Vision Empowerment. Thank you all. Have a blessed day. Thanks for sharing the time with me. Hope to see you again. Bye.